Good morning, children. Today we are going to discuss about how selfless attitude transformed the lives of people. Murali was very excited. It was his first posting as a government school teacher and he was eager to get to his assigned location and begin work. He had big dreams and he could already see himself managing a proper school with the neat and disciplined students. Teachers like him wrote the public sector exams to obtain secure and stable government jobs in rural or urban areas. Murali was very excited because he got an appointment as a government school teacher and was very eager to know his assigned location and to begin his work. He had big dreams and he could already see himself managing a poor school with the neat and disciplined students. That is, he had been dreaming about himself managing a school with the neat and disciplined students. Teachers like him wrote the public sector exams to obtain secure and stable government jobs in rural or urban areas. It is right, children. Why do people prefer government jobs? Because, children, it is secure and stable. That's why everyone is preparing for government jobs. Murali had been assigned a school in a hamlet in Attapadi, the extensive mountain valley nestled below the Nilagiri hills of the Western Ghats. He knew it would not be at par with the small town life he was used to, but then how bad could it be? He thought. So, where he had been assigned? He had been assigned a school in a hamlet in Attapadi. Hamlet means what, children? It's actually a community of people smaller than a village, a small village, that is hamlet in Attapadi. The extensive mountain valley nestled below. Nestle means very close, closely nestled below the Nilagiri hills of the Western Ghats. And he knew that it would not be at par. Par means equal with the small town life that he was used to, as he had settled in a small town and he got much facilities there. But then how bad it could be, he thought about that, because it is a small village. Then how could it be managed? He was worried about that in the beginning. On reaching Nelliampati, the nearest town to Attapadi, he asked for directions. Someone told him that there was a bus to the neighboring hamlet. After waiting for an hour or so, Murali found himself in a rickety bus, crowded with people, loaded with packages and baskets of different shapes and sizes, a few chicken and even a small goat. Now he reached Nelliambadi. It is the nearest town to Attapadi. And he asked for directions. And someone told him that there was a bus to the neighboring hamlet, that is, neighboring that small village. Then, after waiting for an hour, he got into a rickety bus. Rickety means we can say shaky or weak or unsafe. So he got into a rickety bus, and the bus was crowded with the people, loaded with the packages and baskets of different shapes and sizes, and a few chicken and even a small goat. He was exhausted, that is, got tired by the time the bus reached its destination, because the bus was stuffed with people and other things. On seeking directions again, he was told that the only way to reach the particular hamlet he sought was to walk. There was no other transportation. When he reached Attapadi, he again asked for direction, but there was no other transportation to the destination and he had to walk all the way. Murli decided to begin his trek the next day with the help of a guide. Starting at the crack of dawn, he was able to reach the small village deep inside the forest only by late afternoon. Murali decided to start his trek to the destination the very next day with the help of a guide. Though he started his trek at dawn, that is in the early morning, he was able to reach the small village only by late afternoon. And it is located deep inside the forest. The tribal inhabitants of the place looked curiously as Murali walked in, all tired and disheveled. It is a tribal community. When he reached there, the tribal inhabitants looked curiously at him as he walked in, all tired and disheveled. Disheveled means disorderly or untidy. Murali met the tribal headman of the village and told him why he had come. He was led to a small, shabby, and dingy mud hut by one of the children. Exhausted, both mentally and physically, by the long journey, Murali decided to sleep and take stock in the morning. When Murali reached the village, he met the tribal head of that village and told him the reason for his coming. And that time he was led to a small, shabby, and dinky mud hut, which means that mud hut is in poor condition and looks very dirty. That is shabby and dinky mud hut. So he was led to that mud hut by one of the children. And that time he was very exhausted, tired, very tired, both mentally and physically due to that long journey. So he decided to sleep and take stock in the morning. Refreshed after a night's rest, Murali inspected the empty, dark, and crumbling mud hut, which the headman informed him doubled up as the school building too. After his rest, he got refreshed and started checking that empty, dark, and crumbled. Crumbled means broken mud hut. He was to live and teach in this shabby place. Where are the students? He asked. The headman shrugged, pointed to the fields, the forest, and the waterhole, and said, "Some were there." Stunned and shocked, Murali sat down on the low bed, the only piece of furniture in the room. His expectations had been shattered. This was no rosy dream. He was in a state of despair. He tried to piece together his thoughts. He was to live and teach in that shabby, dirty place, and when he asked to the headman about the students, he shrugged. Shrugged means raising one's shoulder to express doubt. That is, he doubtfully pointed to the fields, the forest, and the waterhole, and he said, "Some were there." Murali was stunned and shocked, and he sat down on the low bed after heard this. And that was the only piece of furniture in that room, and his expectations had been shattered. Because before came to that place, he had big dreams and had seen himself managing a proper school with neat and disciplined students. And now all his expectations had been shattered. This was no rosy dream. Rosy dream means here that situation seems not be a good and a successful one. He was in a state of despair. He tried to piece together his thoughts. He could, of course, do what many of his colleagues did, just go back home and pocket the salary the government paid. After all, no one was going to come to this forsaken place to check the progress of the school, or he could stay. It was a tough decision, but Murali's mind was made up, and he decided to stay back. In the state of despair, he decided to do some malpractices like what many of his colleagues did, that is, just go back home and pocket the salary the government paid. This technique is followed by some government officials nowadays too. This is what we call earning money without doing any works. So Murali thought of doing such malpractice, and he thought that after all no one was going to visit that place to check the progress of the school. But he was confused to whether he stayed or not. It was a tough decision, but finally he had decided to stay back there. That was 20 odd years ago. Today, the school is in a better building and boasts of classes till the 10th standard. Murali had to lure students into his classroom with the stories and songs. Often he would join them at the waterhole and take his classes there. But Slowly and steadily, he won the hearts of the children and of the whole village too. Now, children rush into the classroom when they hear the school bell. They are eager to learn and dream big dreams. From being a disheveled lot, the children of the village had transformed into a bright and energetic group. Several of his former students had even left the village to pursue higher education. Murali, now older and mellower, refuses to take any credit for this transformation. With a gentle smile, he says, I am only doing my duty. Today, the school is in a better condition and boast that means spot feature or in a proud manner. So it is having classes till the 10th standard. And in the early days, Murali had to lure students. Lure means provoke someone to do something through some promises. Okay, that is lure. Lure students into his classroom with the stories and songs. Often he would join them at the water hole and take his classes there. Children, this section has reminded me the movie Manikkakallu. Have you watched that movie? In that movie, at first, the school's condition was very bad, but after the entry of Vinay Chandran sir, it turned into a better condition. Like that Vinay Chandran sir, Murali also had to attract students into his classroom through stories and songs. And sometimes he had to take classes at the water hole. But slowly and steadily, not only the children but also the whole village liked him. He won the hearts of the children and the whole village. And now, children rush into the classroom when they hear the school bell. A few years back, Murali had to find out the students from the fields or forests or waterhole. But now, whenever they hear the school bell, they rush into the classroom and eager to learn and dream big dreams. From being a disheveled lot, the children of the village had transformed into a bright and energetic group. This is only because of Murali's hard work. And several of his former students had even left the village to pursue higher education. And Murali, now older and mellower. Mellower means softened through age or experience. So Murali, now older and mellower, refuses to take any credit of this transformation. He only says with a gentle smile that I am only doing my duty. That is his selfless attitude to his profession, his dedication to his profession. That is the point highlighting here. See, children, after knowing the poor condition of that school, he might have decided to go, but he stayed back there. Why? It is only because of his dedication to his work. This selfless attitude transformed the lives of many.